When I first started deep diving into crypto, I was scared. I closed myself for 7 months inside of my apartment. I've seen big whales making the same mistakes as retail. I've seen retail making the same amount of gains as big whales.
Vova Sadkov, a second-time Web3 founder and the chief operating officer of Lab, a next-gen platform backed by leading investors such as Lemniscap, Animoca, and OKX. He has raised over $4 million from global investors and driven Lab to $500 million plus in volume and $2.5 million revenue within 2 months of its Solana launch. Raised across Russia, China, and Spain, Vova studied international business and economics. Featured in Forbes' Web3 Inner Circle, Vova is a dynamic builder, shaping Web3 adoption from Dubai.
In crypto, fundamental times the sentiment equal to the end result, right? And how do you want to tell the story to the community?
I don't know anything about crypto.
How you grow up to 140,000 followers?
This is going to be very interesting for any founders who are watching us right now.
Hello and welcome to Build It Up, where AI meets crypto, technology meets humanity, and East meets West. I'm Bill. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. Today we are joined by Vova Sadkov, a second-time Web3 founder of Lab, a company backed by leading investors such as Lemniscap, Animoca, and OKX. He has also been recognized as part of the Forbes Web3 Inner Circle. Vova, thank you for joining us today.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah. Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about what's your story and how you moved to Dubai and how you get into the Web3?
I'm mainly positioning myself as a builder. I started as a Web2 entrepreneur, purely focused on IT. So to be honest with you, even when I started building, I didn't know that I'm building a startup. We were doing educational technology. We didn't even know this terminology, but we were just doing a platform.
Back to your hometown.
Yeah, sure. I'm originally Russian, but I finished the business studies and economics college in Spain. So I've lived quite a bit everywhere. Lived 6 years in Spain, 1 year in China. I've traveled a bit, was learning languages, business studies, economics, and all of that stuff. So basically, when I moved back to Russia, I started building some stuff. Projects. So we didn't call it startups. We didn't call it like, let's say, we didn't find narrative. Let's say it like this. We just were building a platform. And then this platform started picking up. We've started educating around 450,000 students. So we were booming in the market. And it was one of the, let's say, first educational technologies startups, how people told it to us. We didn't know that we are building a startup. So back then, it was super successful. And as a result, I've sold 30% of the company. That's how I moved to Dubai. Made an exit. I have a little brother, wanted to give my brother good education. So basically, we've applied to the university here in Dubai, and I moved here with him. And basically moving to Dubai, I've heard a lot about crypto, found myself listening and speaking in a lot of different panel discussions, NFT rooftop meetups, DeFi, and basically I understood that I don't know anything about crypto. So it was super interesting for me.
How much work consume you to convert yourself from a Web2 developer to Web3 because the language, etc. are different, right?
To be honest with you, I remember the moment really clearly when I first started deep diving into crypto, and people with whom I was talking, they started to scare me with terminology. They were telling me about market makers, about some cruel, let's say, things that can happen on the market. And I was scared. What I did, I closed myself for 7 months inside of my apartment, and I just started reading everything that I could read. I started arranging calls with founders. I started finding advisors. Basically, I surrounded myself with everyone who knew everything about Web3 and crypto, let's say better than I did, because I didn't know anything about crypto. So it took me 7 months. I was reading white papers. I was doing my own researches. I was jumping on the calls with different founders. And this all took me around 7 months. Yeah. And from the moment that I didn't know anything about crypto, after, let's say, half a year, I started a bit to understand the reality of the market, how people are building here, let's say, the basics of crypto. But I'm still learning. Still, after I'm in crypto for 4 years already, and I'm 3 years as a builder in crypto. but I'm still learning.
You mentioned like you were surrounded, by all the thought leaders, industry leaders. You want to learn from everyone in this 7 months. Is that where you start you as a KOL journey on Twitter? How many followers you have?
I think right now it's around 140,000.
Okay, so that's a time where you start the journey, like how you grow up to 140 followers?
That's actually interesting story as well. I didn't ever know that I'm, let's say, a KOL myself or something like this.
Yeah.
That was never the final goal. So what I started doing, I started sharing my journey on Twitter.
Since when?
I think it was right when I started building my first startup. Like the first startup, it is still functioning. It's called Eesee. It's a launchpad for, let's say, early stage projects, early stage founders who want to raise money from public investors. So this is basically the first startup. And when I started building this, I've heard about the founder-led marketing. So basically people told me, look, if you want to share your vision, if you want people to basically understand you better as a founder, understand what you are building, why you are building this, we want basically you to start sharing your ideas, start sharing your vision on Twitter. That's basically what I started doing. But that was not the moment when I started gaining a good reach on Twitter. I've been doing something like what we are doing with you right now. It was not a podcast. It was online, I'd say, interview. I was inviting founders, KOLs, some, let's say, industry leaders, and I was asking them 15 questions. It was called Most Bullish Show. So I was just asking them 15 similar questions. What is your best investment in crypto? What is your worst investment in crypto? What you are most bullish on? What you are bearish on in crypto? So it was exactly 15 equally similar questions to each one of my guests.
Is this a video clip or is it audio?
It's a video clip.
Video clip, okay.
You can find it on my Twitter page right
How
now.
many episodes you did?
I think I did around 11 episodes. And then I got buried into a workload and we were buried in the development. Basically, I didn't have a chance to continue, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I even bought myself a green screen. So I was doing green screen, interesting background. So yeah, I really liked it. I think my people who were reading and looking this, that's when they started seeing that, all right, he puts in some work. Let's give him a follow. Let's support him.
So if I can dive deeper, I wonder regarding your growth of your Twitter followers, is the growth happening in a very tail-driven events? Like, there are very few, initiative you did, like the video clip, etc., contribute a lot of growth, or it's like a very incremental growth, like you just keep posting every single day and then gradually you become a KOL. What kind of a pattern you have for your growth?
I'd say that it's a mixture of both.
Mixture, okay.
There are some events when I've seen literally followers kept growing super fast. One of those events is when we started building the lab, which was previously Memes Lab. So basically, maybe you remember it was a moment in the market when ton-based startups, they were booming.
Yes.
And a lot of people were paying a lot of attention. So like Hamster Combat, Notcoin, all of those projects, they were just making people crazy. So that's when I've seen that my followers in something like under a month, they went up from 70,000 to something like 120,000. So like a lot of people just came to crypto. I don't know if they are still with us because it's when you are short-term driven in terms of the motivation. Maybe some people lost interest in crypto, but still that moment I clearly remember when I was waking up and I was thinking, wow, it's like a lot of people joining crypto these days. And I think that it was because it was thanks to the Telegram and thanks to Ton ecosystem, because they brought a lot of users there.
Come back to your current initiative. Could you talk about what is Lab? And I understand before the name is Memes Lab, right?
Yes.
How you start the journey, how you want to change the name, and what is the product right now?
That's an interesting question. First of all, what is Lab right now? Lab right now is the trading infrastructure. So basically, we are building for all types of traders, for early stage traders, professional traders, someone who wants to get on board into trading. So we are trying to build the infra for anyone to execute trades more efficient way, faster and cheaper. That's basically in a nutshell what we are building. But when we started building this, it was a meme coin launchpad. That's why it was called Memes Lab, like a laboratory in which we are preparing meme coins. First, it was Ton based. It was only for Ton. And we've seen that we've very fast grown to the ceiling of Ton. So basically, we've started generating good amount of volume. We've started seeing that we are used by good amount of users. And then basically we internally thought, okay, we need to add something additional in order for us to keep growing, not to reach the ceiling and just stay there as it is. So basically, that's when we added Solana to Ton. So we've started with Ton. We really appreciate Ton, and we are doing everything to bring as many traders to Ton as possible. But as well, in order to keep the business growing, we've integrated Solana. And that's when things started looking super interesting. We've launched 18th of July, mainnet, and in something like 2 weeks, we've started seeing that it started picking up super, super fast. So people started trading, we started seeing a lot of volumes, we started seeing people mentioning us, we started seeing a lot of attention. So this is basically when we've understood that we are not memes lab anymore. We are not only for meme coins, we are for any type of trading. That's when basically lab happened. And in lab right now, people can trade any assets. We are doing spot, limit, we are working right now on perps. So basically we want to make lab a go-to trading interface, like ultimately which all users will be using. Wallet, trading platform, spot, limit, perps, analytics, launches, everything to do with trading, that's what we are doing.
In the end of the day, every trading infrastructure, you are competing with each other for the time budget of the user and also the the money budget of their pocket, right? From that perspective, what kind of product you are replacing? What kind of product is your competitor? Like, is it 1inch or Hyperliquid or MetaMask? How do you define your landscape of the competition?
I'd put it like this. We are positioning ourselves as a trading terminal. So basically, some of the biggest trading terminals these days on the market are Axiom, Y Combinator backed. They're like super, super big, and we look up to them as well. What they are doing is great. Then basically we have some other competitors like buybacks, Photon. I'd say that even some platforms like Dex Screener and Dex Tools, they can be classified as our competitor because people are still using it to analyze. Some people even use them to trade. Some people tell that we are a wallet to them. They are using us as a wallet because we are creating wallets to them on any chain, Solana, Ton, EVM, BNB, like any chains. So we are a wallet with trading features. That's how we are positioning ourselves.
You are breaking down the trading into one, information, two is execution. And for information, Dex Screener, etc., is your benchmark or competitor in a sense. And for the execution is including XM, etc., right?
Yes, that's a fact. So that's how we are positioning. Let's say when I'm giving an elevator pitch to someone, I'm saying that we are just an infra to execute, analyze, and deploy. So for the execution, as you said correctly, our competitor can be called Axiom. For the analytics, our competitor can be called, for example, let's say Dex Tools, Dex Screener. For the deployment, our competitor can be called Pump Fund. That's why we call ourselves an infrastructure, because when you are building an infra, you are building for each user persona in the market. For devs, they can deploy. For traders, they can execute. For someone who is just early in the trading days and they want to analyze and understand the market better, we are making it possible to analyze. That's how we are doing it.
Gotcha. DeFi, I think, definitely is the best narrative of this season, especially the DeFi stablecoin and DeFi perp, etc. And how do you think your narrative can succeed in current market sentiment? I understand your fundamental is very strong, but usually in crypto it's like fundamental times the sentiment equal to the end result, right? How do you think about that? I know your TG is coming very soon, and how do you want to tell the story to the community?
Amazing question. Look, we've seen that there are quite a few projects in the market that been promoting the asset that they will be launching, like basically a token. For example, Photon, the trading terminal, they were promoting the token. Bullx, they were promoting the token. But at the very end, they left traders a bit frustrated. So they were promoting, but they didn't ever give any rewards. They've never launched anything. So basically the flywheel was not there. So what we are doing, we want to show our users that they can trust us. We are promoting the token. Token will be a flywheel for the usage for the sustainability, for rewards. So this is basically how we are positioning it. And in terms of the narrative, I totally agree with you. I think that narrative in crypto is, let's say, as important as solid execution, because I know some teams that they are world-class executors, but they can't get into the, let's say, topic that is interesting for retail. And what we are building it for user-centric, consumer-centric, retail-centric. So we want to be friends with our users. So in terms of this, we totally understand that, let's say, Perps right now is the hot topic. We are implementing Perps. AI.
Why Perp is so popular?
I think that everyone in the market, they want to make a life-changing amount of money.
Okay.
And this
And
is,
Perp can make you quick money as compared to the spot.
in some sense, it can make you either lose money faster or make money faster.
Yeah, it's double edge.
Of course. So, but the best marketing of crypto still is not technology, unfortunately, because I understand, I see way more people coming in crypto because of the life-changing gains and some, let's say, PR marketing when someone made money, than people coming here for technology. It's something that will change, I hope, because market is maturing and basically more and more sophisticated and clever people joining the market. And I think that when market will mature, less and less people will be coming to crypto because they would, let's say, falsely think that they can just make money overnight. This is not what actually happens. So let's say still in terms of the execution, we want to give our users what they want. Our users want well done, well executed Perps platform. That's what we can give them. Our level of execution is super strong. We want to give them well executed Perps platform. Our users want to have, let's say, AI research engine that they can really trust, that they can really use to overtrade other competitors. That's what we can give them because we can execute it. So of course, you need to focus on something that you can do and can execute professionally. But of course, you always need to think and look at what your users want. This is basically how we are building.
Gotcha. And if I can dig deeper into a little bit about tokenomics, what they did right from the project like Hype, Aster, and the Plasma, what is your take on that? And also, how do you compare your tokenomics, your community rewards policy versus those three successful benchmark over there?
Amazing question. I'll divide it into two parts.
Yes.
First part is that all of those projects that you've mentioned, why they performed well is because, as we said, market matures. Market matures, and right now it's not sufficient to just have good marketing. If you have good marketing, if you have good, let's say, speculation, it's good. But if you don't have the revenue behind your product, the token will eventually go to zero. That's something that we've learned in the market. That's something that I see a lot of founders, they start to understand. So
Revenue.
yes, revenue is the most crucial part because
But revenue is attributed to Hype, right?
yes, revenue is attributed to Hype, of course, but what we see is that, let's say, if you can't back your asset, your token with business that generates revenue, it can't sustain only on speculation and marketing. That's one thing. So basically, in terms of what we've taken as an inspiration from Hyperliquid is that we are as well using our revenue in order to back our asset. We are doing buybacks and burns. We are planning to do rewards for our holders. We want our users to understand when they are holding our token, they are not just doing this for speculation, because for the speculation, they can hold a lot of different tokens. We want to understand, and we want users to understand that this is basically a token model that is backed by the real business generating revenue. In this case, it will be long-term sustainable. This is how we want to see it ourselves. So that's the first part. Second part is that in terms of the tokenomics, it's always necessary to make users really understand how they can use your asset. And this is basically how we are doing it with the utility inside the platform. People can use our tokens to pay less fees compared to all of the market. So basically, if they're holding our token, they can trade relatively with, like, let's say, close to zero fees. This is basically what we are doing. Then we are using our token as the flywheel. So basically, I see right now Aster, Hyperliquid, all the different, like, let's say, good tier platforms, they are using the token as basically a flywheel. So this is exactly what we are doing as well. This is the inspiration that we've taken from them. So as we've discussed already, it's all a mixture of, let's say, real usage, revenue, wise token distribution, wise rewards. So all of that stuff, when you mix it, this can help you to make the long-term sustainability and long-term success.
What is your take on being generous? I found that Plasma is doing very well by being generous to the community, right? They allocate a lot to the farming. What is your take on this part?
Look, I think that, of course, it's not even only about the business. It's about the basic rules of life. If you are generous with someone, if you give them more energy in return than they've given you, it sets you apart from anyone. It's the same with your family. It's the same with your, let's say, wife. It's the same with your team. When you are giving more than you are receiving, this is always going to be a good relationship. So this is basically as well how I see it with our community and how I see it with an example of Plasma. Of course, those guys, they've executed it brilliantly. When you give your community a lot, they will be your biggest number one fans. They will be your early advocates. They will be the ones who will support you no matter what. This is basically, of course, I understand, and I think that being generous with your community as the founder is something that can set you apart from, let's say, anyone else in terms of competitors.
Okay, so then come back to the farming advice to your users. What will be your advice for their farming, like how they can maximize their farming yield in the potential TGE?
Look, we always say that the main KPI for us is volume. I put it like this, and I think that this is going to be very interesting for any founders who are watching us right now. So I've, let's say, executed equation. First part of the equation is attention. So you need to get a lot of attention to what you are building. After you get attention, after attention is in place, you need to promote the usage. So attention needs to be converted into real users who are using your application. But that's not the final part. The usage needs to be converted into retention, into stickiness inside the product. Because if yesterday you have 10,000 of users and today you have 0 users, the job is not done. The KPI is not there. So this is exactly what we are doing. We are converting attention into usage, and we are converting usage into stickiness. So basically, the first part of users who are helping us to get attention with the content, with the creation of, let's say, interesting information about us on socials, these users will benefit. They will benefit, but they will benefit less than those users who are using our application. People who are trading with Lab, people who will be trading with Lab, people who are testing our features, those users, they will benefit a lot. The real users. And those users who are using us repeatedly, so basically those users who stick to our product. So it's not just, let's say, 2 trades here and there just to show that they are using us, but some users who are real core audience, power users, those users will benefit a lot. So this is the users who will be benefiting short-term, mid-term, and long-term. This is basically something that we've created. Let's say TLDR, if you support us on socials, you will benefit. If you use Lab, you will benefit a lot. If you keep using Lab always as your go-to trading interface, you will be the one who will be the happiest person ever after we reward you. That's how we are positioning it.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned that the more you use, the more potential farming yield you will get. And also you found that most of the user right now is from Solana. I want to discuss a little bit from the layer 1 perspective. You grow up in Tom and then now you spend more time on Solana. How do you find the retail user come from? Is it from Solana or still on Ethereum or Base? What is your take in general of the layer 1 competition? And also second question would be, do you think, Solana is more for retail and for the whale, they're still on like Hype or Base or Ethereum mainnet? What is your take on that?
Right now, mainly, let's say 98% of our volumes, they come from Solana.
Yes.
And we see that it's
How about the industry volume?
Industry volume, I think that, look, of course, I think there is a balance in the industry. I feel like it's more and more getting to be balanced. When I say balanced, I put 2 sides, institutionals and retail. So even the whales, I put them to the retail. Because let's say if you are trading personally, no matter with what amount of money you're trading, you still can be classified as a retail. So basically, when institutionals are putting in institutional strategies, institutional money, that's one part. When retail is trading, even if the retail is big retail, wealthy retail, whale type of retail, it's still retail for me because they are thinking the same way as the normal retail is thinking. The only thing that differentiates them is they have more money, more, let's say, resources to play with. I've seen big whales making the same mistakes as retail. I've seen retail making the same amount of gains in terms of the percentage as big whales. To be honest with you, I don't know the exact proportion, so I always try to put it inside my head as 50-50. So this is like, we try to understand what retail wants, we try to understand what institutional wants, but to be honest with you, I always try to build for B2C. I always try to build as I would be my final user. I always want to put myself in the shoes of my final user. That's how I'm building. It's like, it might be right, it might be wrong, I don't know. I just like to think that we are building this community-led, user-centric, user-first product. That's how we are building.
So then could you comment on how do you compare the Solana with Base or other layer one from the user perspective?
From the user perspective, right now we see that users are coming there where the hype is, where the narrative is, where there are more opportunities. Let's skip the hype, let's skip the, let's say, noise. I think that people come where there are opportunities. Right now, there are a lot of opportunities on Solana. And we've seen even, let's say, a week ago, how even on Lab, we didn't promote, for example, BNB chain. We have BNB chain there by default, so people can use Lab to trade anything on BNB. We've seen how the volume spiked.
On BNB.
On BNB. Why is
because
it?
of the BNB hype.
Because of opportunities on BNB, I think. People see that there are a lot of opportunities right now on BNB. People want to trade there. They don't want to miss opportunities. And when people don't want to miss opportunities, that's exactly when hype arises. That's how I think about it.
Did you ever study about the Base or other alternative?
We are at the moment actively developing on Base. We have Base inside Lab as well. You can use Lab to trade on Base. Let's say we have an initiative that we call Lab Council. It is a group with 50 plus top tier traders, angels, some of our supporters. So we are always listening to them because they are right there in the trenches. Right now, we see that Base as well is picking up a bit. Of course, not this level as Solana right now. Even to be honest with you, let's say if we would compare Base volumes right now on our platform to even BNB volumes on our platform, BNB volumes are still outperforming Base. But I think that what Base team is doing, they are steady building up the fundamental for opportunities on Base. So people will come on Base to look for opportunities, search for opportunities, create those opportunities. So to be honest with you, I'm bullish on Base. I think that Base will pick up in terms of organic volumes, and this is when retail is going to come and actively trade on Base.
You mentioned you are also deploying the AI. I wonder, do you use the AI to improve your team's coding capacity, or you are innovating some AI to be embedded into your product? Could you elaborate more?
I'll tell you, to be honest with you, we are not at the moment using AI for the team capabilities. In terms of, let's say, research, in terms of the some best practices, of course, we are using AI. I think that right now, not using AI is missing out on some good opportunities. But in terms of coding, I think that we are dealing with users' money, with users' funds. So we try to, let's say, even in terms of the execution, even in terms of, let's say, being faster than anyone else, we can't, let's say, delegate it to AI yet. I think that it will happen when we will be able to trust AI more on that side. But right now we are trying to execute it with the capabilities and skill of our developers. What we are doing with AI, we've seen interesting thing, and I think that you will understand it right now. So we've seen that a lot of teams, they're using AI to track on-chain data, volumes, wallets, the, let's say, distribution of funds on chain. So a lot of teams these days in the market, they've done very good tools for AI analytics of on-chain traction, wallets, volumes, anything. What we've seen that none of the teams made AI analytics of socials. So basically, how bullish is the community? Are they really buying? what is the real sentiment of the community. Let's say if we are talking about token that you want to buy, will you care more about on-chain stuff that can be boosted a bit in a sense, or you will care about social stuff when you want to understand if community is really bullish, if they are really buying, if they are here for long term. This is what I'm interested as a trader. So we are trying to mix both. We are doing AI analytics of on-chain, and we are doing AI analytics, AI research of socials. So our users will be able soon to find the most prominent tokens and most prominent coins which are just starting to pick up in the community, where community is just starting to become bullish, when basically the core audience, the core community is being formed. This is, I think, would be what would set our AI research engine apart from anything else on the market.
Gotcha. So basically, you will provide an embedded AI analyst assistant, something like that, into the product as a roadmap.
Yes, that's what we are testing already right now. That's what we call AI research engine.
Yeah.
And we even have inside the UI right now, we have the research, but it's as soon. So we want to make it work that way that I'll be proud of it. I want to make sure that I'm using this for my own purposes. So whenever I'm using this for my own purposes, I'm 100% sure that our traders and our users, they will love it.
A little bit sensitive question regarding how you choose the layer one. You are homegrown from the Ton ecosystem, and Ton, usually they claim they have 1 billion users. So basically, they should have the most volume of the user globally. But interestingly, you pivot yourself, put more efforts on Solana, etc. Where is the gap of Ton, and what would be your advice, to them as a developer?
But to be honest with you, what I see is that Ton is mostly for retail, non-trading focused these days, more on the side of entertainment, learning, let's say more on the leisure side of things. This is how I see. Ton community, you can't even imagine how active are they. They're not just active in terms of trading these days. I think that it will happen when Ton users will start being active in terms of on-chain trading.
Yeah.
We see that Ton's volumes in terms of Telegram gifts is spiking. Ton, I think right now is the second chain in terms of the NFT volume after the Ethereum. So basically we see that still users are very active. What we are focusing on right now is on-chain trading. So we are trying, this is one of the very important tasks for us right now as a team. I want to drive as many users on Ton to be, let's say, included into on-chain trading. That's what we are trying to do right now. We are trying different, let's say, user acquisition funnels. We are seeding some more information in the Solana-based alpha groups about Ton, about potential of Ton. So I think that it slowly but steadily builds up. My tasks as a builder is to build, let's say, foundation for users to come and trade when they will find it interesting. So this is basically exactly what we are doing right now.
Yeah, so sounds like Ton, they, by leverage of the Telegram ecosystem, they still have a good basic volume of the leisure entertainment users, right? But those users are not the core users in crypto, which we call them like DeFi users in a sense.
I think that those users are not trading oriented because the risk profile of those users is a bit lower.
Yeah.
The guys on Solana, they are like, they want to go all in.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So they are happy with 0 because they know that they can be happy with, let's say, like a 100% result. So this is the mindset of Solana users. And I always say that's actually a long topic to cover, but I'll try to shorten it. I always say that the best marketing for chain is people who make money on the chain. Even for Ton, basically I've given my feedback because when, let's say, you've seen the gifts and people started making a lot of money on gifts, I've shown these to a couple of whales. Next day, I come to the Telegram profile of those whales. They bought out hundreds of gifts because the best marketing is still when people make money. That's how it happened on Ethereum when basically NFTs started to pick up. People started seeing other people making money. That's when the volume spiked. That's exactly the same thing that happened on Solana. People started seeing other people making money on meme coins. The volume spiked. ton with gifts. People started making money on gifts. Other people seen it. The word of mouth advertisement started to happen. People basically started putting more money. Ultimately, some big percentage of people, they are still in the industry to make money. That's basically the best marketing. And I think that whenever we will see some good marketing, and I know that some of the good marketing from Ton Foundation is coming, users on chain make money. And this can activate a huge flywheel. So this is basically something that we are counting on right now as well.
I can tell you have a intuition to follow the user, and that is the reason you pivot your chain, and also you want to focus on the general trading instead of the memes trading, right? What do you think of the vibe of the memes trading community? Is it still the majority of the hype, or it is not the case anymore? Now people come back to the interest of the general altcoin, non-meme altcoin.
I think that everyone knew that it's going to happen like this. Like when the meme coin season started picking up, I've seen a lot of wise individuals. They've told, look, people will play around meme coins, but then the volumes will migrate to altcoins. So this is exactly what happened. And I think that it's still around the same topic of, let's say, where people see biggest opportunity. People seen biggest opportunities in meme coins. They were pumping, they were making like people millionaires overnight. So people were sticking to meme coins. Like right now, we see good examples with, let's say, Aster, Avantis, Stable, different other tokens that are pumping these days like crazy. So people started rotating the attention back into the altcoins. And as I've already mentioned, attention to usage to stickiness. So now those products, now those, let's say, altcoins, they have attention. What they need to do, they need to convert this attention into usage. That's exactly what we see with Avantis, Aster, different other industry forming products these days.
Amazing. So basically your story is kind of a self-fulfilling flywheel. And as a narrative, you should have some core user to make money, to spread the fortune story, and then more people will come. More people come, more people buy, and then there will be more fortune story.
Flywheel, and then flywheel is activated, basically.
Yes. My last question would be, sorry, how old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Yeah, and 28, you have been a serial entrepreneur. And what would be your advice to the younger generation who are graduating and want to get into, industry and want to make them rich or independent?
I have two advices. One advice is kind advice. Second advice is the advice that might make someone
Harsh advice.
scared. Yeah, harsh advice. And I think that nothing is possible without harsh advices. So first advice is, of course, like, I think that it's a cliche, but that's what I'm feeling and that's what I feel when I'm building. So people, like everyone, if you want to be a founder, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you just want to work on something to make sure that you get to the final goal that you are chasing, you need to really like the journey. That's the main part. And this might sound cliche, but let's say tried it multiple times on myself. Whenever I'm focusing on the final result, whenever I'm interested only in the final result, nothing will happen. Whenever I'm interested in the journey, when I'm waking up liking what I do, the final result, it won't let me wait too much. It's basically the final result is going to happen if you just really genuinely like the journey. If you're not trying to fool yourself into liking the journey, if you're not trying to show someone else, look, I'm liking this journey, if you genuinely inside sincerely like what you're doing, the final result will come. That's the first advice. And second advice is all about sacrifices. I think that I've sacrificed a lot before making my first successful result, and that's something that not a lot of people understand. You have to make sacrifices. You have to sacrifice some time with your friends. You have maybe to sacrifice some, let's say, couple of dates with your girlfriend. You have to sacrifice your leisure time. Maybe some guys will be chilling on Friday, Saturday night, but you will need to work. It's all about sacrifices in the life. So just it's a harsh advice because a lot of people understand it when it's a bit too late. When people understand that, all right, now I'm ready to sacrifice something, I can sacrifice, but then you are 40 already and you don't have a lot of resources and you don't have that energy and drive into yourself. Like if you really want something to happen, you need to sacrifice something else. Sacrifices up until that moment when you actually reached to your goal. then you can start adding the leisure, entertainment, something that you want when you basically want to have some free time. But first thing, basically the TLDR is do what you like, do what you genuinely like. Don't look at someone who is doing something and think that, oh, it's cool, I want to do something like him. Do what you really feel inside, that it's your way, like your way. And then second thing, as I've mentioned, sacrifice something to get to the final destination. That's the only thing that actually works.
It is a focus in enjoy the journey and also sacrifice for the long term.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sacrifice right now for the success long term.
Cool. Yeah, very well said. And thank you for the inspiring sharing today.
Appreciate the introduction. Look, I think that the final conclusion is that to everyone who is watching us, whether it's a builder, founder, lab user, I would encourage everyone to at least come and try our app once. I really like, as a founder, when I think about the idea and you're thinking about this idea, working on it, and then basically building, everyone is not sleeping, and then you can touch this idea with your hands.
Yes.
And then when users are using your idea and giving you positive feedback, negative feedback, any type of feedback, when I'm looking at this, I understand that this is something why I'm doing this. So I really encourage everyone to come and trade on Lab. Come and use Lab, give us your feedback. My DMs are always open. And yes, looking forward to having all of you on our TGE. I don't know if this podcast will go live before or after. Our TGE will be 14th of October. So basically, we really want to have all of our supporters and want to have all of our, let's say, users paying close attention to what we are doing, because I think that we will do an interesting use case that will be studied and can be used by other founders. That's how I'm trying to do it.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. All the best to the launching.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all for today on Build It Up. We will be back soon with another guest. If you like this episode, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Until next time, this is Bill. Goodbye and take care.